theory is that sometime during the night she gets up
and packed her regular school bag, put clothes in it.
She walks out of the house and heads down 18 south. Several people say that they see her, but no one stops to make sure she's okay. She runs off into the woods and no one has seen her since.
Hey folks, I hope you all are doing great and having an awesome day as well as weekend. I am Ira, your host, and I want to thank you for joining me for episode 6 of The Dark Side. Today we'll be discussing the Asha Degree disappearance. Before jumping into the story, I would like to say if you have a case you wish for us to review, please contact me. Feel free to message directly via Facecase, Twitter, the comment section below, etc. I firmly believe the most interesting of situations and stories will originate from you. Anyways, without any further delay, let's talk about the disappearance of Asha Degree. Asha Degree was born August 5th, 1990. She originates from Shelby, North Carolina, which lies near the western edge of Charlotte. In the early morning hours of February 14th, Valentine's Day of 2000. For reasons unknown, she packed her book bag, left her home, and began walking along nearby North Carolina Highway 18, despite the fact that it was raining heavily and very windy. Several passing motorists saw her when one turned around at a point about 1.3 miles from her home and began to approach her. She left the roadside and ran into a wooded area. She hasn't been seen since. An intensive search began that day that ultimately led to the location of some of her personal effects near where she was last seen. A year and a half later, her book bag, still packed, was unearthed from a construction site along Highway 18 north of Shelby. At that point where she ran into the woods, a billboard now stands appealing for help finding her. Her family now hosts an annual walk from their home to the billboard to draw attention to the case. While the circumstances of Degree's disappearance at first seemed to suggest she was running away from her home, investigators could not find a clear reason as to why she would have done so, and she was younger than most children who typically run away. Along with this, she was quite shy and cautious in nature. Her family, along with a blogger who has tried to solve the case, has speculated that she might have been abducted instead. The case has drawn national media attention. In 2015, the FBI joined state and county authorities in a reopened investigation. Around 8 p.m. the night of her disappearance, Asha and her sibling went to bed in the room they shared. Almost an hour later, the power went out in the neighborhood after a nearby car accident. It was restored shortly after Harold, her father, returned from work around 12:30 a.m. At that time, he checked on his children and saw them both asleep in their beds. He checked again shortly before he went to bed at 2:30 a.m. on the morning of February the 14th, and once again, he saw them both. Shortly afterwards, her brother recalls hearing Asha's bed squeaking. He did not further rouse himself as he assumed she was merely changing positions in her sleep. Apparently around this time, Asha got out of bed, taking a book bag she had previously packed with several sets of clothes and personal items, and left the house. Between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m., two drivers saw her walking along Highway 18 wearing a long-sleeved white t-shirt and white pants, just north of its junction with Highway 180. They reported this to police after seeing a TV report about her disappearance. One witness reported seeing her about 4 a.m. and said he turned his vehicle around because he thought it was strange that such a small child would be out by herself at that hour. He circled 3 times and saw Asha run into the woods by the roadside and disappear. It was raining that night, and the witness said there was a storm raging when he saw her. Asha's mother awoke at 5:45 a.m. to get the children ready for school. When she opened the children's room to wake them and called them to the bath, her son was in his bed, but Asha was not, and both were unable to find her within the house or in their cars. She awoke Harold, her husband, and informed him that she could not find their daughter. He suggested Asha might have gone to his mother's house across the street, but when they called, her sister-in-law said Asha was not there. That's essentially when the police were notified of the situation. By 6:40 a.m., the first police officers had arrived on the scene. Police dogs were utilized, however, they could not pick up on her scent. Asha's mother went through the neighborhood calling Asha's name, which she had awakened everyone by 7 a.m. Friends and family, as well as neighbors, canceled their plans for the day to assist police in searching the vicinity, while the pastor of their church, along with other area clergymen, came to the Degrees' home to support them. By day's end, all that was found was a mitten, which the family said did not belong to Asha. Local news coverage resulted in the 3 drivers who had seen Asha walking along the road early that morning, including one whose attempt to approach her apparently prompted Asha to flee into the woods, reporting the sightings to the police. On February the 17th, 2 days after the search began, candy wrappers were found in a shed at a nearby business along the highway, near where Asha had been seen running into the woods. Along with them were a pencil, a marker, and a Mickey Mouse-shaped hair bow that was later identified as belonging to her. It would be the only trace of her found during the initial search. A week later, after 9,000 man-hours were invested in a search of the 2 to 3 mile radius of where she had last been seen, flyers were posted all over the area and 300 leads ranging from possible sightings to tips about abandoned houses and wells where Asha might have ended up. The search was called off. This was due to the lack of substantial leads and evidence. Both the FBI and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation got involved and put her on their respective database of missing children. While the agencies were done searching in the area around her home and route, all leads were being worked behind the scenes. Investigators believed Miss Asha had planned and prepared for this departure over several days preceding her disappearance. Investigators agree that she is not your typical runaway, as most children who run away are at least 12 years old. An FBI agent also pointed to the lack of an issue she might have been running away from, such as a dysfunctional family or poor academic performance. Still, investigators believe that was the most likely explanation for her departure, but that for some reason she either got off track or was abducted. The media attention went national. A month after Asha's disappearance, the Degree family appeared on the Montel Williams show to call attention to the case. America's Most Wanted and the Oprah Winfrey Show also picked it up. In a scary turn of events, in August 2001, Asha's book bag was unearthed during a construction project off of Highway 18 in Burke County, near the hellhole known as Morganton, about 26 miles north of Shelby. It was wrapped in a plastic bag. The FBI took it to their headquarters for further forensic analysis. Results from their tests have not been publicly shared. Later leads have turned out to be dead ends. In 2004, acting on a tip reportedly received from an inmate at a county jail, the sheriff's office began digging at an intersection in Lawndale. The bones that were found turned out to be that from an animal. In February 2015, the FBI announced that FBI agents, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office investigators, and the State Bureau of Investigation were re-examining the case and re-interviewing witnesses. Also that year, a Charlotte woman started the Finding Asha Degree blog, devoted to solving the case with the help of crowdsourcing. The blog theorizes that Asha was lured out of the house by someone close to her family with the intent of abducting her and making it appear as if she had run away. While Asha's mother characterized the blog as containing half-truths, she did say that she did not take it too seriously. She allowed that it might prove to be of assistance in ending the mystery of Asha's fate. Local law enforcement were more welcoming and actually stated, "People wanting to help doesn't burden the case whatsoever." In May of 2016, the FBI announced that their investigation of the case had turned up a new possible lead. They disclosed that Asha may have been seen getting into a dark green, early 1970s Lincoln Continental Mark IV, or possibly a Ford Thunderbird, from the same area along Route 18 where she was last seen later that night. It was described as having some rust around its wheels. On September 6, 2017, it was announced that the FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team was in Cleveland County to assist in the investigation and provide on-the-ground investigative, technical, behavioral analysis, and analytical support to find out more about what happened to Miss Asha. The team will work alongside FBI Charlotte employees, Cleveland County Sheriff's Office investigators, and the NC State Bureau of Investigation. You know, it amazes me, and it's kind of heartbreaking at the same time, that 17 years later, this case is still being worked by numerous agencies and teams. We pray for answers and information around the circumstances of this little person's disappearance. Thank you for tuning in. I would love to hear your thoughts on this situation and the disappearance of Asha Degree. Make certain to like and subscribe. Do me a favor and share this video while you are at it. It really helps folks. Make certain to follow us via Twitter and Facebook. Links are in the description.